At precisely 3:17 a.m., a piercing alarm jolted me awake, accompanied by the squeal of tires and a dazzling display of red and blue lights flickering across my bedroom walls. Stumbling to the window, my heart racing, I saw a scene straight out of an action movie. Armed officers swarmed the street, issuing sharp commands through radios. But the real shock wasn't the raid. It was my Jeep, the one I'd secured and parked in front of my house per explicit instructions from the local police task force, now gone. In its place stood a glaring orange parking cone with a sticky note that read, "Code violation, HOA seized." I was torn between rage, tears, and incredulous laughter at the sheer ridiculousness. Linda, the HOA president, had sliced the lock off a law enforcement vehicle and towed it somewhere unknown, oblivious to the fact that she just derailed a month-long surveillance operation. As federal agents stood outside, demanding to know where my Jeep was, I faced the daunting task of explaining that it had been stolen by the neighborhood HOA tyrant. Moving to Willow Creek Estates was meant to be a new beginning after years of military service abroad and drifting between cities. I craved tranquility. A yard for my dog, a garage for tinkering with motorcycles. The first few weeks delivered. Neighbors were friendly, kids played in the street, and the air was filled with the scent of barbecues and fresh mulch. But peace, I soon discovered, had a nemesis, Linda Farthington, dubbed Karen Supreme by locals. She wasn't just strict about HOA rules, she embodied them. Grass too long by half an inch, expect a fine. Christmas lights up past December, you'd get a warning, and my rugged black Jeep with its military grade blackout plates and reinforced bumpers. Apparently it was a neighborhood felony. That thing doesn't belong here. Linda sneered the first time she saw it. Her lips pursed so tightly they nearly disappeared. "It looks like it crawled out of a junkyard." I calmly explained its role in my consulting work with local law enforcement, but she scoffed. "Nice tail, Army guy. Try a Prius next time." From then on, Linda fixated on my Jeep, sending weekly letters about unauthorized vehicle modifications, excessive rugged aesthetics, and, my favorite, parking aggression. Who knew a stationary Jeep could wage psychological warfare? What Linda didn't know, too busy obsessing over HOA bylaws, was that my Jeep was fitted with covert surveillance gear. A task force had enlisted me to use it as a static surveillance hub for a sting targeting a drug ring infiltrating our peaceful community. Equipped with hidden cameras, GPS trackers, and a recording unit, it was a spy vehicle in plain sight, its tough appearance making it perfect for blending in without arousing suspicion. The irony, Linda's hatred for it was why it was chosen. I kept it quiet, following the task force's orders: park it out front, shift its position slightly every few days, and never move it without clearance. I even added a heavy-duty wheel lock to deter theft and signal it wasn't abandoned. But that lock sent Linda into a power-fueled frenzy. She reported the Jeep 5 times, escalating each complaint to abandoned vehicle status, despite my assurances it was legally parked on my property. She insisted she had the authority to handle neighborhood eyesores. One afternoon, while I was out, she took action. Linda hired a shady tow service, marched up with bolt cutters, and snapped the lock like she was storming a fortress. My neighbor Rick, whose porch ring camera ran 24/7, caught it all. In the footage, she smirks at the camera post lock, cutting, saying, "One less blight to deal with." When I returned, the Jeep was gone, replaced by that cone and note. I confronted Linda, but she dodged me, sending a pompous email claiming the HOA had relocated the non-compliant vehicle to maintain community standards. I laughed until I remembered the Jeep's sensitive equipment. I called the task force immediately. They didn't laugh. Within 30 minutes, they were at my door, faces grim, as I recounted the saga and showed them Rick's footage. Officer Melendez's face paled. She cut the lock and towed it. He asked, voice tight. I nodded, sweating. "That's tampering with federal equipment. Obstruction at minimum." The mood turned dire. The officers issued an emergency retrieval order, but Linda's tow wasn't at any local lot. She'd stashed it somewhere off the books. likely illegal. The sting operation collapsed, suspects scattered, a months-long effort undone by an HOA zealot with a grudge against my Jeep. At 3:17 a.m., I stood on my porch, watching a task force scramble without its surveillance vehicle, officers fuming, suspects gone, and Linda missing. She had no idea the chaos she'd unleashed, but the law was coming for her. The next morning, a text from Officer Melendez read, "We found the Jeep. You'll want to see this." My stomach churned. He arrived in an unmarked SUV, jaw clenched, and drove me silently to a rusted gate behind an HOA maintenance shed I'd never noticed. An open padlock dangled on the gate. Inside was a weed-choked lot with cones, tarps, and 3 other cars, each with peeled stickers and tickets. There sat my Jeep, scratched, muddy, and crooked, its driver's side mirror cracked, the surveillance drive's case pried open and gutted. Melendez swore, snapping photos, "This isn't a tow lot," he muttered, kicking a cone. It's an HOA graveyard. Linda had been running her own impound operation from a utility shed. As we surveyed the damage, scuff marks, mud, caked suspension, a glove box mangled by a screwdriver, Linda appeared, clip, lopping in heels, cheerful as if this were a lost and found. "Oh, good, you found it," she chirped. "I was about to notify you." Melendez cut her off. "Step away from the vehicle, ma'am." Confused, she protested, "I'm the HOA president. I have authority to remove unregistered vehicles." Melendez snapped, "You removed federal property from an active operation. Do you grasp how serious this is?" Linda's smugness faltered, but she doubled down, claiming she thought it was abandoned. It had a lock and hadn't moved for a week. She insisted, as if she deserved a medal. I showed Melendez Rick's footage, Linda slicing the lock, laughing as an unmarked tow truck hauled the Jeep away. She was escorted for questioning, still ranting about saving the neighborhood. By day's end, the task force had video evidence, a timeline, and an illegal tow yard run under HOA pretense. Rick, ever the spectator, rolled up with a lawn chair and soda, grinning. Should we tell her she messed with the feds or let Facebook do it? He'd archived Linda's letters, rants, and Facebook posts boasting about cleaning the streets. He offered his evidence like a curator, knew she'd crash, he said, didn't expect her to do it by stealing a government Jeep. Linda had acted alone, bypassing HOA protocol. No vote, no notice, just spite. Residents rejoiced, one even baked shaped cupcakes with red and blue frosting. Detective Sasha Lynn called, her voice sharp, "We're evaluating charges. Tampering, obstruction, maybe more. Her HOA title won't shield her." Linda called an emergency HOA meeting to clarify, her actions claiming federal overreach. The audacity was staggering. The packed meeting buzzed with residents, reporters, and suited officials. Linda arrived late in a red blazer, tapping the mic like a talk show host. I acted to protect our community's standards. She began, blaming misinformation. I stood, cutting in. "You cut a lock off a federal vehicle, towed it, and bragged online." I handed a USB with Rick's footage to the IT guy. The screen lit up, Linda slicing the lock, laughing, and her Facebook posts mocking military cosplay. The room fell silent. Detective Lynn stepped forward, holding a folder. "You bypassed the HOA board, used an unlicensed tow company, and stored the vehicle illegally. You compromised a federal operation." Gasps rippled. The board moved to suspend Linda, voting unanimously. She sputtered, "You can't do this," waving a cease and desist letter against me and the police for entrapment. Lynn dismissed it. "Your lawyer's already under investigation." Linda stormed out, vowing a comeback. The room erupted in cheers. A tyrant toppled. The story exploded online. Rick posted the footage to Reddit. It hit 2 million views in hours. Linda's face flooded TikTok and YouTube, memed as Suburbia's tyrant. News vans swarmed and tourists snapped selfies with my Jeep, now a local icon. A parody GoFundMe for Save the Tactical Jeep funded a new paint job, matte black. The task force replaced the surveillance gear, gifting me an upgraded Jeep. Charges piled up, tampering, obstruction, illegal towing, and embezzlement after an audit revealed Linda's misuse of HOA funds. The HOA dissolved amid reforms. Residents planted wildflowers, painted mailboxes, and breathed freely. We turned the impound lot into a community garage for repairs and projects, christened with a Jeep parade. A plaque read, "For keeping cool when the HOA went full villain." Linda took a plea deal, restitution, fines, and a 20-year HOA ban. She sold her house and vanished. The neighborhood, now eyesore estates, thrived. My Jeep, parked proudly, became a symbol. One bad choice, gutting a lock, unraveled a toxic system. Sometimes that's all it takes.